Hey friends, welcome back. This video is going to be looking at how to order fractions, decimals and percentages. We're going to start off with fractions, then look at decimals and then mix it all up. So let's go straight into it. There's a few words that you need to know about this topic. So ascending and descending have different meanings. Ascending is when things go from smallest to biggest, and descending is biggest to smallest. Most of the time you put things in ascending order, but you may get a question that asks you to put things in descending order. So make a note of that if you're not sure or you didn't know that before. Now let's look at fractions. There's a few strategies you can use. Before I explain it to you, pause the video and have a go first and have a think about how you would do this, and then I'm going to show you. Okay, here come the answers in 3, 2, 1. So one possible way to do this, you may have noticed, is to make the denominator the same. So because they're all different, it's hard to compare these. If I had a fraction, for example 5/7 and 3/7, it's quite easy to compare that 5/7 is bigger than 3/7. So we can then put those in order. So we're going to take the same approach with this, and you can see what denominator could you use that matches. I think it's going to be 60. So let's do that. So 3/5 is equal to something over 60. So in this case, we're going to multiply by 12/12. So that's going to be 36/60. And then we got 37/60 is just going to stay as is. And then we got 17/30. In this case, to make it equal out of 60, we're going to multiply this by 2/2. So that's going to give you 34. And then finally, we have 7/12. So let's make this denominator 60. So we're going to multiply by 5/5. So that's going to be 35/60. So if we look at the fractions that we have, we can now put these in a nice order, and then usually it's better to convert them back into the original equivalent fraction. So we've got 36, 37, 34, 35. Now 34 is the smallest, so that fraction originally was 17/30. The second smallest is 35/60. Now that fraction was originally 7/12. And then we got 36/60, which was originally 3/5. And then 37/60, which was just itself. So that's one way to order fractions. You're going to find a few other ways here, just a heads up. So some of those ideas might be making the numerators equivalent. You have to assess that in a different way, and we'll get to that example later. Now let's look at some decimals. There's a nice strategy for this, so have a go first. You'll be surprised how many people get this wrong. So write these in order from smallest to biggest, so that's ascending. Pause the video. Now I'm going to go through the answer in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the trick here is to look at how many digits you have after the decimal. So you've got 2 digits, 3 digits, 1 digit, 3 digit, 3 digit. So the most number of digits we have is 3. So we're going to use that fact here, and we're going to make all of these into 3 digits after the decimal. So 8, 2, and then we can just add a 0 at the end. This is already 3 digits. This one requires 2 zeros at the end. This is already 3 digits, and this is already 3 digits. You can now essentially ignore what's before the decimal because it's always a 0 here. And then the numbers you're comparing are 820, 808, 800, 828, and 82. So you can see, you can now put these in order. So 0.082, tick it off as you do it. So that's 82, and then we've got 800, so 0.800. Now you shouldn't say 0.800, that's not correct. I'm just referring to the number after the digits. you should say 0.8 technically. After that we've got 808, so 0.808. After that we've got 820, and then we've got 828. And then again you have to write this out in the original format that was given to us, so 0.082, and then we've got 0.8, 0.808, 0.82, that 0 wasn't there originally, and then 0.828. And that is going to be our answer here. Okay, now go back to fractions here, and what we're going to do here is change the following fractions to percentages. So we're not going to be using a calculator here, so we're going to need to be careful about how we simplify these fractions or scale them up and find an equivalent. So 3/5 is straightforward because we know that if you want to make it out of 100, that's what we're going to do for all of these. We're going to multiply by 20 over 20. So that's 60 over 100. Have a go with the rest and then continue the video. So for question B, 7 over 20, we're going to multiply by 5 over 5. That's 35 over 100. Question C, 13 over 25. So we're going to multiply by 4 over 4. So that's going to be 52 over 100. And then we've got 21 over 40. Now 40 doesn't fit nicely into 100. So we're going to have to simplify this a bit more. So let's find the equivalent here. If we half the 21, you will end up with a decimal, because it's not an even number. So you're going to end up with 10.5 over 20, and then we can scale this so that it's we're going to multiply it by 5 over 5. So 10.5 times 5 is going to give you 52.5 over 100. We're going to convert these all into percentages at the end here because we want the fractions first. And then we've got 3 over 8, and this is again a slightly different fraction because 3 over 8, 8 doesn't go into 100. So what we can do is we can again half it. So this is equivalent to 1.5 over 4. And 4 goes into 100 because you're going to multiply by 25 over 25. So this is still non-calculator. You can work this out quite quickly just on the side, and you're going to get 37.5 here over 100. So as percentages, this is going to be 60%, 35%, 52%. Here we're going to have 52.5%, and here 37.5%. So remember, when you're converting into a percentage, what you want to do is write the fraction over 100. If you had a calculator, it would be a bit easier. As you see in the previous videos, you can just put this in your calculator, 13 divided by 25, and then multiply it by 100. But this would be a non-calculator question. Right, so have a go at thinking which of these is bigger. Is it the percentage or the fraction? There's a few questions for you to try here, so try all of them one by one, and then I'll go through some strategies here. In fact, I'll tell you the strategies now. It might be useful to do that first. You can either compare, you first of all want to make both of them a percentage, you want to make both of them a decimal, or you want to make both of them a fraction. as long as they match. It's up to you. In some questions, one of these representations will be easier than the other. Then it's just easy to compare them with each other. If you're writing them as fractions, you can make the denominator the same, the numerator the same, and then you can compare, you can decide which one you're going to match depending on the question. Okay, pause the video and have a go. I'm going to show you the answer. Okay, so 35%, this time I think we're going to leave these as percentages. 2/5 is the same as 4/10, which is 40%. So we can say 2/5 is bigger. 0.4 is 40% versus 24%. So we can say 0.4 is bigger. 30% is just 30%. 1/3 is 33.3 recurring percent. Now in this case we can see 1/3 is bigger, very slightly. And 1/5 is 20% versus 45%. So there's a big difference here, 45% is bigger. So in this case, turning them all to percentages was a bit easier. In some other questions, turning them into decimals or fractions might work better. Alright, so pause the video and then have a go at filling in the blanks here. So you're going to write an inequality symbol, either less than or greater than or equal to, depending on which way you read it. Okay, here come the answers in 3, 2, 1. Here are the answers. Now, again, you may have decided to convert some of these. So for example, this is 0.32, this is 0.04, this is 0.9, 0.2, and then this is 0.21. This will be 0.75. This will be 3/5 is 6/10, which is 0.6. And then 21/40, that will become, like in the previous slide, it's going to be 0.525. You can see this one is slightly smaller. Okay, I hope that was useful. So in this slide, it's actually better to turn everything into a decimal rather than a percentage, although you may have done it a different way, and that's completely fine. Okay, so here's an exercise for you to try. You are going to convert them all into equivalent representations. So either all decimals, all percentages, or all fractions. Have a go here. Pause the video and I'm going to show the answers in 3, 2, 1. Here are the answers. So S is the smallest, L is the largest, and then you've got the decimal representations on the right. You may have done a different way, and that's completely fine as well. Okay, one final thing before we move on is this exercise here. You are going to work out the answers to these. Pause the video and then have a go on these, and the answers will be shown in 3, 2, 1. Here are the answers. The fully worked solutions are not here yet. Those you'll have to wait for or request. Okay, so that is ordering fractions, decimals, and percentages. I hope you found that useful, and I'll see you in the next video.